Hi guys, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and I just got the most amazing email from a follower of mine who has followed my videos and had her own experience with binge eating and all sorts of other things, and it was just so incredible. I asked her if I could share it, and she said that I could, and I was like, how do I do this justice? Like, this is phenomenal. Her story is just so cool and so raw, and she's just so real about it. And I said, you know what? I can't do it justice. It's just amazing. And it's long, and it's incredible, and there's just so much, and she said I could use it. So you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to read it to you, just raw, how it is, and you guys can just have this incredible story of this woman. So here I go. I'm just going to read it to you. And feel free to put any comments below, or if you relate to her story, or if you have questions or any of that. So I am a lifestyle coach. I specialize in eating disorders, binge eating, bulimia, that sort of thing. We have an incredible community of people who are all just in this closed group, and we're all supporting each other, and I have videos every Monday. So just to kind of give you guys some context of what I do in case you don't know, so this is going to make sense. So this is what she said, used with her permission, all kept anonymous. I'm not going to use her name, just so you guys have an idea. So she says, as I sit down to write this, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all, and I don't know which is more exciting. The fact that I feel like I just might finally be recovered from binge eating, or the fact that you, Lydia, will read this. Total woe moment. So, thank you. That's very sweet. So, this is what she says. For as long as I can remember, I have been a binge eater. I am 47 years old. I grew up in a poor family, in a poor city. My dad, who's actually my stepdad, but he raised me along with my mom since I was about 1, was not a good man. It took me a long time to be able to say that. He lived a life of crime, hate, racism, drugs, violence, and abuse. He coerced my mother to participate in his crimes. Odd, though, he was never physically abusive to me, but he was to my mother and my brother. But for some reason, never me. And I guess I shouldn't say he lived his life, we lived his life. I'm not exactly sure how my father actually felt inside, because he never spoke of such things. Sorry, I just lost my place. Wait, hold on. Okay. As for my mother, brother, and I, we lived a life of shame, fear, and sadness. We were set up to fail. And for reasons no one has really ever understood, even myself sometimes, I loved him then, and I love him now. Sadly, his way of life never changed, and all the years of criminal activity caught up with him. He was deported back to his country about 4 years ago. His life was destructive. It destroyed our hope and our spirit. My mother did the best she could, but her efforts were futile. She was so broken inside, she felt completely powerless over everything. My brother, 5 years younger than me, ended up following the path of my father laid out. He's 41 now. He spent most of his adult life in prison. I cannot begin to tell you how much pain I have from all of this, for all the terrible memories, for in the end never seeing my father repent and ultimately losing him completely, for knowing how much my brother missed out on life, for how much my mother and I have missed my brother being a part of our lives, for how my brother's decisions in life affected us, for how the foundation that my father set for us, each of us, on our own paths of destruction. I could literally write a book. And then she says, well, I need a writer, but I think you wrote this beautifully, by the way. So, just incredible stuff. So she goes on to say, I remember when I was very young, maybe 9 or so, my mother eating in secret. So this is kind of when she introduces this element. My mother eating in secret because my father used to call her a pig. He made her feel so terrible. I guess I can look back now and see how it was really him who felt insignificant and unworthy, so he would try to make us feel less than we were. My mother would binge eat and then yo-yo diet over and over. She would go for days without eating, or liquid diet only, and then eat until she was sick. She was in a vicious cycle. I remember wanting to always be near her. I sat with her all the time. I think I thought that since my dad didn't physically hurt me, if I stayed close to my mom or brother, maybe he wouldn't hurt them either. I had seen him do some terrible things to her and my brother. I started eating like her, and then I started restricting like her. The cycle continued for us both and never stopped. We both tried various types of diets, hypnosis, Slim Fast, Weight Watchers, etc., but nothing worked. We would later gain what we had lost and then some. Another thing I learned from her, though, was that I would never let a man treat me the way my dad treated her. Oh, but then I did. It took me a few years, but I finally realized what was happening, and I took the most precious thing in the world with me, my son, and we left. I divorced him. Within a year, I was married again, and no way in hell was I going to let another man hurt me. Oh, wait. I did it again. This time was much worse, and with 2 precious little girls added to my story. The marriage was filled with codependency, shame, fear, you name it. Shortly after we married, he started drinking. Then he started using crack cocaine. He was controlling, mean, abusive, and heartless. This time, I didn't leave. In 2002, I made him leave. 2002. I was divorced, free from a destructive marriage, my kids were healthy and happy, and I was 265 pounds, faking a smile, trying to hide the pain. But 2002 was a life-changing year for me. That's when I met the man that would soon change my life. After a short but expensive period in the courts, I was granted permission to move out of state. In 2004, we took the kids and moved to Florida. 2005, we were married. No one has taught me more about love than this man. He was truly a saving grace for me and my children. One person can radically change your life for the worst, as I have discovered again and again. But one person can also radically change your life for the better, and for that I will be forever grateful to my husband. Shortly after settling into our new life, I joined Weight Watchers, and very slowly, over the next few years, I lost 110 pounds. It took so long to lose the weight because I never stopped binging. Slowly, weight started creeping back on. But I had a glory moment that I will never forget. I reached my goal weight and got to meet Bob Harper from The Biggest Loser. I was so happy and proud of myself, but never realized I only changed and fixed my body, not my mind. I'm going to say that again, you guys. I'm going to say it again. I realized that I only changed my body, not my mind. This is huge. Okay. Slowly, the weight started creeping back because I continued to binge. In spring 2015, I was online and a banner came up that said BED. I was curious and clicked on it and discovered there was an eating disorder called binge eating disorder. What? So I feverishly started reading up on it and knew without a doubt that I had BED. I was happy and sad at the same time, but mostly happy because I knew I wasn't going crazy. I used to eat so much, mostly in hiding, and think, what is wrong with me? I really thought it was just me. Just a side note, I had that exact same experience with my binge eating. I literally thought that I was the only one who did this. All right, back to her story. And I was also happy because this was something real. If this was something real, there must be some sort of treatment out there. Within a few weeks, I called the Employee Assistance Program through my employer and was approved for 6 free visits with a licensed therapist that specialized in eating disorders. It only took 1 visit, and she confirmed my diagnosis. She was a lovely woman. She was tall, slender, into organic foods, did yoga just because she liked it, even though she helped by being a sounding board, and it felt great to get all that garbage out. And by teaching me some good coping skills, I just couldn't connect with her beyond that. She had never gone through what I'd gone through. She could possibly understand the level of shame, fear, hopelessness that I was... Oh, she couldn't possibly understand the level of shame, fear, and hopelessness that I was feeling. Or even more, she could never understand the crazed power of the impulse to binge. I often felt possessed. I saw her for about 5 to 6 months. That June, my husband and I spent a weekend at downtown Disney to celebrate our anniversary. It was a weekend to get away from our busy lives and decompress. It was pretty hot here in Florida already, so I knew much of our time would be spent lounging in our room. I don't wear shorts. No way would I even consider a bathing suit to cool off in the pool. So we stopped at a nearby Barnes & Noble, and I got myself a book. My first book on binge eating. Feeding the Hungry Heart by Janine Roth. It was a compilation of stories written by the women that she had helped with emotional eating. They were just short stories, and I don't even remember much of what she wrote herself in the book because I was so taken aback by the words of these women. I was reading all of my own unspoken words. Aside from us going out for meals, I spent most of the time reading, with a big bag of M&Ms by my side. I remember reading the book and putting these candies in my mouth. I remember the irony. I remember feeling so full that I hurt. I couldn't wait for the hurt to go away so that I could finish the candy. The book was enlightening, but something clearly hadn't clicked yet. A year goes by, and I continue to struggle. I continue to diet. I continue to binge. I continue to feel guilty, ashamed, ugly, and sad. But like my food, I hide all of that too. Sometimes I really feel like I was insane, like I was completely out of my mind. How could I possibly feel so powerless? I could sit and tell myself that no one is taking my hands, filling them with garbage, and forcing them into my mouth. No one was driving my car to the drive-thru, ordering foods that I could eat quickly while driving and dispose of the evidence before I got home or hide them in my purse. It was me doing that. So rationally speaking, I didn't have to do this. And yet I could not stop. I had no sense of control. I'm relating to this so much. Are you guys relating to this? Okay. How can I hear both of these sides in my head so clearly? How could I get the sane side to overcome the insane side? There was nothing rational about any of it. I was living a secret life, and it was lonely and miserable. And that secret life was like an infection that spread over the rest of my life. They were separate yet tangled. I was so confused. But during that past year, I continued my quest for answers. I wanted so badly to not be a prisoner to binging anymore. I had smothered my sense of spirit and well-being long enough. I wanted to be free, so I dug up anything I could find online, mostly on YouTube. I watched tons of videos on binge eating from people like me sharing their stories to medical experts, life coaches, you name it. I came across multiple videos that talked about brain over binge. That title tugged at my heart. I'm not sure if it was Catherine's intention or not, but I saw the title and thought, mind over matter. And to me, that's what it was. This was all in my head. I watched several interviews of hers. That's how I found you. Yay! I'm so glad. And then immediately bought the Brain Over Binge ebook. As you already know, her story is incredible and so brave. I was starting to see a trend in bravery. But this book was mostly about her story, and although I felt educated on BED and saw an example of what I so desperately wanted, a non-therapeutic, non-surgical, no medication recovery, I still felt a bit lost on how to apply her example in my own life. Something was missing. In July 2016, I did something I've always wanted to do but never had the courage to try. I signed up for a half marathon. I had volunteered at Disney runs for the past 5 years and had always wanted to do one. I had all kinds of excuses why I couldn't. I had no one to go with me. I didn't want to do it alone. It was too expensive. I won't be able to complete it. But when my son and my friend decided they were going to the Disney Princess Half Marathon in February 2017, I decided I was going to do it too. Finally, I had someone to do it with. Why not? Later in September, I started my training. I had never run before, at least never consistently. But I paid the money to register, and I had 2 people counting on me now. I had to give this a real shot. So I made a promise to myself that no matter how badly I ate, I must be committed to do the training. I can't show up and run the risk of not being able to finish, or worse, be far enough behind the required pace that I was removed from the course. Oh, I love your comments. Keep commenting, you guys. I can't read them now because I'm reading the thing on the screen, but then I'll come back to the comments. But don't let that slow you down. Like, I'm gonna see them, and I love just all the support and like, oh, you guys are so great. Okay. Something started happening when I started training. At first, I was surprising myself at how well it was going. I was so happy that I was able to complete each run as scheduled. But as the weeks passed, the weekend runs started to get longer and harder. At 210 pounds, it hurts to run. And I was thinking, this just sucks. My weight is holding me back once again. You can pretty much force yourself to do anything for 30 minutes. But when your run is 5, 6, 8, or 9 miles, you can't just push yourself through that. It takes proper planning, like getting enough sleep, keeping properly hydrated and properly fueled. It became as much about the mind as it did about the body. This was a light bulb moment for me. In all of my years of battling my weight, my focus was always on my body. I just had that end goal in mind. I wanted the diet that was either easiest or quickest because it was never about my health or stopping the binging, just about my body size and the number on the scale. You guys hear that? That's another huge, huge insight. All right. The wheels in my mind were churning and I was desperate. I finally got it. I have a serious problem in my brain, and I need to start there. This was groundbreaking territory for me. I went back to watching videos, but instead of searching for binge eating recovery in general, I searched Lydia Wente. Whenever I had a free moment, I was watching, or sometimes I'm just listening to your videos. I watched them multiple times. There was something so attractive to your videos. Aside from them being fun, informative, and connecting, you've gone through this, you know what I'm feeling. There was this feeling of organic simplicity that I loved. This didn't have to be so hard or so draining. You took the sum of what you learned in Brain Over Binge combined with your own recovery and were able to break it down into simple principles. This is what I needed. There are so many methods out there, and I know the same thing doesn't work for everyone, but the thought of the other methods I tried were just daunting. Weighing food, counting calories, counting points, fasting, writing down everything you eat. My mind was already on overdrive from binging. I didn't have the brain power to add one more thing. As I continued to emerge into your videos and website, my focus almost immediately shifted from the mindset of dieting, body image, restrictions, self-loathing, suffering, and quick fix. I was suddenly ready to change my mind. I'm going to read it again. I was suddenly ready to change my mind. Shifting my thoughts to working on my mind instead of my body automatically changed my mindset to no restricting, no diets, no suffering. And it was only automatic because of what I learned in all my research I had done that taught me so much about BED. And I knew that's binge eating disorder. And I knew that this was not going to be a quick fix, and that was okay. It was okay. I mean, I could stay where I am and a year from now be in the same place, or I could change my mind and my body will follow. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. I could change my mind and my body would follow. I would be in such a better place no matter what the scale said. The most important thing that needed my attention was stopping the binging. Spiritual awakening unfolding. I was starting to see, not all at once, the other addictive habits that I had were in partnership to the binging. For instance, for years and years, I had been weighing myself every morning. Every morning. I stepped on that scale every morning no matter how good or bad I was the day before. I dreaded it, and more often than not, I was disappointed. If I didn't lose as much as I expected, if I saw the number stay the same, if I saw it go up, just seeing my weight day after day was depressing. Why did I do that to myself? It's like I was getting up every morning and standing in front of a punching bag, asking it to go ahead and whack me in the face. It was a surefire way to start my day off in a negative way. It was beating me down, and I didn't even realize it. It's so freeing to wake up every morning and just start my day without getting on the scale. It says, insert happy dance here. I used to think that I was resilient, but looking back now, I think I was just in survival mode. I thought that I had never been able to accept all that I have been through because it always seems to find ways to resurface. But I think it's something totally different. It's not that I didn't accept it or that I can't let it go. I think these events were major contributors to characteristics that I developed, like low self-esteem, shame, and insecurity. The people that contributed to my development of these characteristics no longer had power over me. But these characteristics I developed didn't go away when the people did. I was changed. I don't think I ever realized that until now. Those traits complicated everything and made it so difficult for me to cope. Food was my coping mechanism for everything. Or nothing. I didn't need a reason to binge. It's been 17 days of no binging. Better yet, no desire to binge. I've gone longer than that before, so I'm hoping this isn't just delusion. And there were so many factors here that contributed to what I believe to be my recovery. And I say believe because it all seems so surreal still. You had a huge role. If I didn't have the principles that you shared, I would still be binging. You held the key. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for your work, and most of all, thank you for helping set me free. All right, oh, I like this. Okay, she said, so now what? Well, something floated into my mind that I've heard time and time again. You have to accept who and where you are now and move forward. And I thought, accept? I'm not sure what that's correct, so I looked it up. Accept. Tolerate or submit to something unpleasant or desired. Synonyms: endure, put up with, tolerate. So, I have to tolerate myself where I am, or I have to endure it? That doesn't sit well with me. How about I have to love who and where I am? Love. An intense feeling of deep affection. Synonyms: fondness, tenderness, adore, devotion. So that's it. I'm going to love myself for who and where I am right now. I will treat myself with tenderness and devotion. And then she says, sorry this is so long. I wanted you to see how far I'd come. After a lifetime of binging, I'm free. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. So, that's just beautiful. And I love it. I love just hearing stories like that. And I hear this sort of thing all the time. And really, my sincerest hope is just for every woman that needs, not everyone, every person in the world to just know what I know, like this information. Because so many women are struggling out there and they just don't know. Like, you can go to lydialifestyle.com or lydiavideo.com, and I have free videos. And I have a new one every Monday. And you can just start at the bottom of the playlist. And you can see all the same stuff that this beautiful woman saw, and it has transformed her life. So I just wanted to share that. And thank you, beautiful, wonderful woman, you know who you are, for allowing me to share this so that more people can be inspired. So thank you guys so much for being on this live feed, and just thank you for all of you who are sharing. I will put a link below this to our community. We have a free Facebook group for anyone struggling, with binge eating, compulsive eating, emotional eating, and my videos are in there as well, and we have amazing discussion and a great community. So that's available too, and have a wonderful night, you guys. So, mwah, Lydia the Lifestyle Coach signing off.